had a great mom and dad. My father was a pastor. My wife says it's one of my favorite stories is I was raised in the basement of a church. So that teaches you a lot of things. But that I think was something that would really surprise people to know. My first job was when I was 12 years old. We lived in Colorado Springs, and there was a 7-Eleven that was opening, and they had a job for someone to wear a Snoopy costume and pass out balloons and candy to kids. And what I learned from that experience was I don't want to be in a Snoopy costume in the middle of the summer because it is too hot and you could probably die in there if you're in there too long. They paid me $2 an hour, and I was very happy to get the money. I was a 12-year-old kid. I was very happy to get the money. But it also taught me that if you do something that other people don't want to do, somebody will pay you to do it. So that was a good lesson. No one will ever pay you what you're worth. No one. And if you want to find out what you're worth, work for yourself. And then ultimately, you'll get paid by the value that you bring to other people. I could never pay people what they're worth, but what I can do is create opportunities and help them climb the ladder in life of getting more responsibility, getting rewarded for that. That's the best way that I could say that. So the hardest time for any entrepreneur is when you have been working for someone else or in the corporate world or whatever, and then you launch out on your own and you try to do both at the same time, which is being divided. God says a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways, so you have to get focused. And the true hardest time is when you know, okay, I'm doing this and I'm not making any money. I know I can go back to work for someone else, and I'm telling you, every day you look in the mirror and you're like, why am I doing this? It takes a lot of self-motivation and drive to see the future of what it can be and not just take the easy step and just go back to work for somebody else. What keeps me going is trying to create opportunities for others. I'm a firm believer that if you've been given much, much is required. So I feel a responsibility to give back. And I could just retire. I'm 62 years old. I could just retire, go live on the beach the rest of my life. Or I can go to work every day and surround myself with a lot of other people who are looking for the opportunities. And I look for people that maybe didn't have the opportunities that other people had because they appreciate those opportunities. And whenever I talk to someone about they want to talk about starting a business, the first question I say is, what do you want to do for 80 hours a week for free? Because that's what going to work for yourself means. Because that's how committed you have to be. It's not something that you can turn off. It's something that's always in the back of your mind, and you just have to stick with it. And sometimes the opportunity finds you, and sometimes you find the opportunity. So always be open for opportunities. Don't discount anything because you never know what it's going to turn into. So one of the greatest testimonies that I have is the moving company that we are part owners of, EkoMovers. This was a 4-year-old company when we found it 14 years ago, and it was doing $60,000 a year in revenue. And personally, I hate moving my stuff, but I love helping other people move. So when I first was presented with this opportunity, I said, I hate moving. I don't want to be part of a moving company. And then I thought, every time somebody needs moved, and they call me because I have a pickup truck, then I'll get the guys together and we'll go knock out a move, and it's a great feeling. I'm helping somebody. So anything that I do, I have to feel like it helps others, because if it doesn't help someone, why would I do it? We have, for each of our companies, we have core values, and everyone that is going to be part of that organization has to fit every one of those core values. So it's not exactly the same for each one of our companies. Everyone has to line up. I look for people that are hungry. You know, I'm very blessed, but at the same time, I don't know where my next meal is coming from. That's because that's how I'm wired. The reality of it is, I don't have to worry about any meals the rest of my life. The feeling is that hunger. I look for people that are hungry. I look for people that are appreciative of opportunities, that need someone to show them the way, that are open to that, that are wanting to grow and willing to grow, because we have to grow. If you don't grow, you die. When you're green, you're growing, and when you're ripe, you start to rot. So we have to be lifelong students. That's one of our core values of most of the businesses that we're involved in. But I look for people that are hungry, and I feed them. That's what we do. And when you feed somebody, they keep coming back. I can't really share everything because although everything is recorded with the Ohio Secretary of State, so it is public information, I focus on a lot of different things. And we have owned probably 80 plus businesses over the years. At one point, we owned 9 Subway restaurants: a Blimpie, a Quiznos, Dairy Queen, Pizza Inn, Skyline Chili. We've owned, rental companies. At one point, we had 21 rental properties. There's real estate companies: Randy Smith Enterprises, Sheila Smith Enterprises, and then I have different partnerships with different people that most of them have initials in there, like my initials and their initials in there. But I'm interested in business, and as long as it's legal, and I won't sell weed, I won't sell alcohol or cigarettes or tobacco or anything that I would not partake of myself. So not judging anybody else, because I'm definitely not the judge, but I'm a businessman, and it's very important to me, anything that my name is tied to, because of who my father is and who I represent. That is a great question. And of everything in this interview, this might be the most important thing. So any business is limited by the resources of the owner. Everyone would agree with that. But about 7-8 years ago, I feel like in prayer that God told me that, and then said, what if I'm your business partner? If God is the creator of the world, which he is, there's no limit to his resources. And therefore, if God is my first priority and I take care of his children, he'll take care of mine. And I know that that's a promise that we have. So if God truly is your business partner, there's no way your business can fail, because God's business can't fail. The only way it can fail is if you mess up, because God will never mess up. His desire is to bless you, to help you to prosper and be in good health, and to help others. So that's the most important thing. And if you don't get anything else out of this, partner with God. Other than the Bible, which is actually a collection of 66 books, there's a book by John Maxwell called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And you've went through that book. And we went through that with our staff just a few years ago. And every week, everyone had their book and would read the chapter on leadership. And then we would discuss it in our weekly staff meeting at the end of our staff meeting for a few minutes. And I think I probably quote from that book every day, something, whether we're talking about the law of the lid or the law of navigation, the law of process. There are 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And John Maxwell, who's actually an Ohio native, who went to California and pastored in a huge church out there, became a very famous author. That book is worth its weight in gold if you'll take it and read it and just follow the laws of leadership. A lot of people think that they're a leader. And when people tell me that they're a leader, the first thing I ask is, stop and turn around. Who's following you? If no one's following you, you're not a leader. But you want to be a leader, that's great. So let's get you into some leadership training, whether it's time management, whatever it is. You can be a leader if your desire is to be a leader. And a lot of leaders in history weren't people that necessarily said, oh, I want to be a leader. You know, I think of George W. Bush, who became president of the United States. His father had been president. And, you know, I heard him in an interview saying, I had no desire to be the president of the United States. My dad was a president. I knew what that was all about. But he felt a responsibility to the nation because of his patriotism and not trying to get left, right, and all that craziness, because I'm only with one party, and that is Christianity. That's God. I love everyone with all of my heart. And that is how you become successful. If you don't like people, you're not going to be a very good business person. If you're going to be involved in the public and even have employees and people that work with you, if they don't like you, it just becomes a numbers game and a constant turnover. And we have people that, you know, have been in our life for many years. When I was a kid, I used to collect baseball cards. But about 15 years ago, I said, I'm not going to collect any more baseball cards. I collect people. And that is what you need to do. As you get older, you learn the value of collecting people, not things, not stuff, because everything we do down here is temporary. So ultimately, we're all going to live forever. This YOLO, you only live once, is not true. That's the dumbest thing in the world. You're going to live forever. The only question is, what is your address going to be? You're going to be in heaven or you're going to be in hell? And some people, I don't believe in whatever. Well, it doesn't matter what you believe. Truth is truth. And we will all find out someday. And all I know is, even if there was no afterlife, the life that I live for God, this would be worth it. I actually get to live a little bit of heaven on earth, because being a follower of God and being in covenant with God, and having his blessings, and his blessings aren't just monetarily. Everybody thinks about money being successful. Success pretty much has nothing to do with money. That's the misconception. I have family. I have 5 great children. I have 6 awesome grandchildren. I have a circle of friends who are just incredible. I have people that would take a bullet for me because they know I would take one for them. And that's your wealth has nothing to do with money. It doesn't matter how many commercial buildings I own, how many houses, how many cars, and none of that matters. What matters 100 years from now, none of that's going to matter. The only thing that's going to matter is how you treated people, what was your relationship with God, and how did you treat his people. And if you are part of a religion that hates people, man, that is not God. Religion should be about love. It should all be about love. We should love one another, not just everybody trying to kill each other. It's insanity. So a lot of people get it twisted, but that's a little off topic. But if you're going to talk to me very long, you're going to get a little bit of Bible for sure. The man that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his first name is Robert. I heard him in an interview ask that question, and the answer that he gave really astounded me. But the answer that he gave was literally my experience. He said, this is a billionaire who wrote the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, million copy bestseller on the New York Times list and all that. He said, if I were a young man and I was starting over, I would go to work for McDonald's. They have the most incredible training program on the planet. He said, they will train you how to run a business. I was married, already had a kid, 19 years old, and I went to work for McDonald's. My mom said, Randy, you cannot take a job at McDonald's. You got to get out of the restaurant business. I said, Mom, they have a training program. It's 2 years of college, and they will teach me to run a business. That's where I learned how to run business. That's where I learned what a pro forma P&L is and what a P&L is and how to impact every line item and be responsible for a P&L. I did that, and I was an area supervisor by the time I was 22 years old, director of operations at 24, and I've ran over 350 McDonald's from general manager level or area supervisor or director of operations. That is probably something that would also surprise a lot of people, but my advice isn't necessarily about McDonald's, although that was my actual experience. My advice is everything that you do, work is unto the Lord. Do a great job. It doesn't matter where you work. Wherever you work, if you work at the Healthy Bee in Monroe and you're making those protein shakes, do a great job. Love people, treat people right, have a smile on your face. You should change the environment, the atmosphere every time you walk in a room. You should be inspirational. Every one of us has nothing to do with money. Some of the people I know that have a lot of money, most boring people you're ever going to meet. They think everything is about them. It's not. Everything is about everybody else. But whatever you do a great job, and you'll be rewarded. The cream always rises to the top. So 2 years ago, we did the missionary journeys of Paul. And so we traveled, we were on the Mediterranean Sea, did, I can't remember, 11 or 14 days on a cruise ship. And we traveled to Greece, a lot of the different islands in Greece, and we traveled to Turkey. We traveled to Crete and Italy and also Vatican City. And for me, we've been to 19 different countries, but for me, that was the most recent trip that I've taken, and it was like 17 days altogether. So it was very impactful because I literally got to speak in the ancient city of Corinth and Philippi and Ephesus and Thessaloniki is how they pronounce it, and Athens and Rome and all of these cities that are in the Bible. And I literally got to be there and walk the steps of where Paul walked, the apostle, and to see his tomb, which is in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. It was very impactful and humbling, and it was a great trip.